For this video, you will need any regular flat nose jewelry pliers, round nose, and some kind of cutters. 18 gauge, 16 gauge. You could do 20 gauge if you don't have these two. Nah, you can just only substitute the 18 for 20. You're gonna need the 16 or your links are not gonna be strong enough. Some 6 or 8 millimeter beads that you like. I prefer stone beads. Some medium or large jump rings. These are 6 and 9 millimeter, but somewhere in there should work. And maybe some chunky chain. And that should be enough. This is non-tarnished silver from Barra wire, but you can use whatever wire you want. Make sure it's copper based. Aluminum would be too soft for this. For the swirl part, you want to take about, I don't even know. I just started doing this. What was that, 3 inches, 4 inches, something like that? Take your round nose pliers, grab it right in the middle. Try to grab it pretty close to the tippy tips. And then twist like that 2 separate ways. And then start to bend it. Keep bending it around. Bend that one around like that till it starts to make like a little figure 8 thing. And then continue to bend it around like this. Careful that it's side by side, that it doesn't, I don't know, fold under. And then right about this time, it'll start to try to fold under or over. So then you let go, you grab it with your flat nose sideways like this, bam. And that's when you continue to roll it. But make sure you're not squeezing any part of the wire that's actually moving, or you could get a sharp corner. But continue to hold it place your pliers at different directions and keep clamping down to keep it flat. And keep coming around. And see, I didn't grab that in the perfect middle, so one side is a little bit longer, but that's okay. And it really doesn't matter how big you make these. Just make a bunch and then try to get a feel for how much wire you need to make them uniform. And this part, all you want to worry about with this next part is just that you leave yourself a little less than 1 inch or a little less than 2 centimeters so you can roll it backward. No, you know what? I'm going to say even less than that. You just need to roll it backwards a little bit. So I'm going to cut this about like that. And then you want this to be on the other side, so try to cut it kind of evenly. And then you grab your round nose pliers right on the tip of it. How far down, depending how big a loop you want to make. I like to go about 1/3 of the way down the pliers. Whoops, make sure you grab it tight. Don't slip like that. That was bad. And then roll it backwards like this. Reposition. Make sure you have good body mechanics. Don't let your wrists feel awkward. You don't want to like cause. You have to be careful with your wrists. You only have 2 of them, and they're pretty tough until you bend them a weird way over and over again, and then you're going to have some issues. Talk to anyone who's used a keyboard for years without using proper ergonomic techniques. So then this one, we're going to try to make it come out right on the other side. And then just kind of flatten it again. Make sure there's no sharp ends sticking out. Flatten it. And there you have your swirl. Now again, you can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. It's up to you. Do whatever you want. But this is the part that you're going to open and close to add the other part. Like this, sideways. Boop, boop. Because the other part, we're going to make it so it doesn't open and close. And you can always use jump rings in between. But I like to put the links closer. I feel like you get more like beauty packed into one little area that way. So let's make the next part. This was 16. We're going to use 18 for this next part. And again, I think we're going to take, to be on the safe side, let's take about 6 inches because I forget how much I need. And this you could do with 20 gauge. And you could also do with 6 millimeter beads, but I happen to be using 8 millimeter, and that's what I want to use because I like how it looks. So these cute little stone beads, I put them into the middle of the wire. Make it very tight. Crimp, and then crimp. Make sure you got tight crimps. If it's moving up and down, pull it back and make your crimps tighter. Really kind of roll them pretty harshly like that. Now you're going to take the round nose, put it up again about 1/3 of the way down like that, and start to roll it into a loop, and then grab the wire and come around the rest of the way. Press it in tight to the bead like that, and then continue to roll it till you get it right to the end like that. Oh yeah, it feels good. And then pull it back out and fold this. Get that one out of the way, excuse me. Fold this tight like this. And then you can even have it start coming around like that. That's what it's eventually going to do. All right, let's do the next one. And same motion. Same exact, if you do it the same exact way, they'll end up totally opposite, which is what you want. Roll it around like that. Press it in tight. So it's, the loop is nice and tight, and then start to roll more like that. Reposition. Roll it till it's about the size you want. You can make these loops a little bigger if you want to give them more of a scarf, but it's up to you. Now I'm going to take this and come around like that and start to do the same thing. Now here's where it gets tricky. I always mix myself up. Like, which way am I going around? You can just go straight up, and that's cool. You just give a frame to the bead, go straight up with each one like this. Just go straight up and then start scarfing, like that. But I like to make them twist around, so then I get confused which way is which. So I think that one goes that way and that one goes that way. So then I'm going to scarf this one just about once around there. You can go around more times, but I made very small loops, so I only have room to go around about once. And then about once around this guy. There we go. So I'm going to cut these about halfway across the loop. Careful not to cut more than the one strand there. Whoops, I didn't fully cut it because I was being super careful. Wiggle that in a little bit more and let's pull it up a little bit. That way we're not going to cut both of the strands. Boom, okay. Now we're going to come with our pliers, squeeze that little end in. This is a little tough with 18 gauge. You need to get used to it. But if you have tough, beefy fingers that have been exercising for months or years, then this will be no problem for you. Squeeze that. Important thing is you want to squeeze that sharp little end and bury it into the little scarf there. Okay, I call it a scarf because sometimes I wrap the loop up higher and higher, like the loop is a face and I'm giving it a scarf. That's just my thing. I coined that phrase. Pretty soon it's going to be in the dictionary. So see how these are they look cooler because they're swirling around the bead, not just framing it. But then, they're not totally equal. Kind of look from a bird's eye view above it, and you can adjust them so that they're a little bit more. But either way, they're going to look cool because they're going to flip and flop all around, and they're going to just look awesome from every position. And then we come back and we get our other link and just open it. Boom. And we stick this guy on. And this is the fun part. Like, there's no up or down, top or bottom, left or right, forward or backwards. You just stick it on and it looks great. And you just make a whole bunch of those links. And then you put some jump rings on one end and you put a clasp on the other end. I like a little lobster clasp, but just for fun, I'm going to show you how to make your own clasp in case you don't have any lobster clasps and you don't want to go to the store. This could be done with 18 or 20. I haven't done this in a while too. I should practice first, but now I'm just going to dive right in. So I think I'm going to take about another 4 inches or so, and I'm going to put the two ends together and bend this straight. Come in here and kind of hold it real careful and bend it, squeeze it tight. So we have like a little double thing going on there. Now, grab it on the end here with your flat nose, and with your finger gently roll it into the cutest little hook, like that. Ta-da! So cute. And again, you can play around with these because you'll find some are a little bigger, some a little smaller, some work better. You'll find what you like. But give yourself now, I'm going to say about that much, whatever that is. But again, trial and error. And now take your round nose and roll these guys backwards like that. Whoops, there you go. Can you see that? And now they're both should be tucked into each other, so that's not totally right just yet. I'm going to try twisting them. I don't know if this is going to work. I think that might lock it in better. All the way around. Yeah, that's locked in better. So that's kind of easy to do. And what you can give it a little, you want to make it kind of a question mark to make it look really pretty, like that. Kind of give it a little more of a bend, and you can roll these guys even tighter if you want them to really, but most of all, make sure that none of the sharp ends are sticking out. Like that one just rolled out there, and that's sticking out. So I'm going to pull that one out and be like, no, you don't get to stick out, because you don't want anyone to get scratched. So I'm going to roll them a little more like that. And that's pretty good. Yeah, now Now just get yourself a jump ring, connect that to one of your loops. See, this one I did bigger, and I like it, but I'm still going to use the little one because you can use different sizes, and you can kind of mix them up because it just makes the bracelet look cooler, and they're close enough that very few people are going to like scrutinize it. It's just going to look like one whole organic pretty thing. When you look at a plant, you're not like, well, most of those leaves are kind of the same size, but then those two leaves over there are a little bit smaller than the other leaves, and I feel like, what's going on, Mr. Plant? Like, that's not symmetrical. That's not like perfect. Some of your leaves are a little smaller than the others, and they don't match, and therefore I can't look at the whole plant because it just throws my eyes off, and I'm a little OCD about that, And people don't do that. And people won't do that with your bracelet. It's going to look beautiful. They're going to love it. Oh my gosh, they're going to love it. Now you can have these sticking out like this. You can also roll them a little bit more like that. Either way, but whatever you like. That kind of makes that particular area slightly stronger if you roll it a little bit more. And also, if you hammer these, I don't have my anvil, so I don't know, but you can give this just put it on a flat piece of metal and just give it a few taps. Actually, I can just get a door hinge or something. I don't need to find my anvil. Hold on. Several different things you can use. I wouldn't use any turntable, but this one is very heavy steel, and I'm just going to do very light tapping. So I'm just going to put this on here and just give it just some light tapping to flatten the metal, and that hardens it quite a bit. See, that's a personal choice too, because it's very easy to get these little hammer marks in there, but I think that makes it look cool, as long as you don't scratch off the actual silver coating, because this is silver plated, non-tarnish, basically a copper based wire. But I think that looks really cool, and now like these really can't be pulled apart. They're much stronger. They were pretty strong before because it was 16 gauge. But anyway, those are just some options for you. All right, let's put this guy together. Now, depending on your size, you might need more or less links. I find that just 5 of the bead links and 4 of the swirl links is plenty to make a bracelet. You want to make your bracelet, if it's going to be adjustable for a lot of different people, you want to make it on the smaller side so it'll fit those people with little skinny wrists, and then add a whole bunch of jump rings on one side and a clasp on the other. Or you can add like a length of chunky chain, because that way you can clasp it to any link and make it adjustable to almost any wrist. So that's what I like to do. So I'm going to put a whole bunch of these jump rings on this side and put my little clasp. Again, I would probably use a lobster clasp, but if you don't have one, this one's really easy and fun. And just going to use a couple smaller jump rings to connect that. Maybe just 2, so it has a little more wiggle room with your fingers when you're trying to put it on your wrist. And these are 6mm jump rings. These are 9mm jump rings, but anything between 8 and 10 would work. Or again, just some really chunky chain would work too, as long as you can get that clasp in there. Let's put them on. Remember to always open and close your jump rings sideways like a door. Like that. Don't ever open them like pulling them apart like that, because you'll warp the shape of the circle and then you'll never get it back. And the whole thing will just be like blah. And once you clasp it to the link you want, the pressure, if you make it tight enough on your wrist, might hold it, but it's safer to just give this a little pinch and close it up. And then obviously you're going to have to give it a little squeeze to open it again. Now, opening and closing wire eventually will weaken it and it could break, but one little pinch and one little squeeze to open it once or twice a day is not going to hurt it. You'd have to do it hundreds of times before you'd start to weaken it. But again, if you have lobster clasps, they're good to use too, or any other kind of clasp you like. Okay, there we go. Or simply make more links, or attach a length of chunky chain to each side, and you have a necklace. You could have a necklace, bracelet, and anklet set if you want. Take a couple of these little guys with the bead at the top and then the swirl maybe, or the other way around. Put an earring hook and you have matching earrings. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. Or better yet, keep it long, and you can have it as a multi-length necklace. It could be a choker, it could be longer, or it could wrap around the wrist 2 or 3 times and be a multi-wrap bracelet. So whoever you give it to, or if it's for yourself, there are so many possibilities you can do with just a couple different links. So much fun.